What if we've been looking for health in the wrong place? Lately, I've been noticing some very interesting pattern that made me question my deepest assumptions about my body, how it works, what it knows, how it communicates. So you see, I noticed that the more inner work I do, the better I understand what my body is trying to tell me. And the better I understand my body, the more naturally come choices that actually support my health. So, I started asking myself, where do health and disease actually begin? And today I would like to share with you 3 stories that have completely changed the way I look at my body and at my health now, and some insights that I gained. A few weeks ago, it was one of those unbearably hot summer days, and I suddenly craved ice cream. So I went to the shop and bought my favorite one and a big tub. And, I couldn't wait to eat it, but after just a few spoonfuls, I suddenly felt that my body was rejecting it. So this sweetness of this ice cream suddenly felt wrong, and I wanted to get this sweet taste out of my mouth as quickly as possible. And for me, it was a surprise because it used to be my favorite ice cream. I really liked it, and I liked and enjoyed the sweetness of it. So, what happened? I started thinking, and I realized that a few days earlier, I had done a GSR session exploring my relationship with sugar and diabetes. You see, I don't have diabetes, but a lot of people in my family actually do. So, it runs in the family. That's why I was interested to see what subconscious and energy patterns inside me can contribute to moving into that direction. That's why I did this GSR session. And probably some of you don't really know GSR, don't know this method. I will talk about this method a little bit later. It's my favorite way of exploring my subconscious, of understanding my deeper motivations and deeper inner patterns that affect my life. So you see, in a GSR session, I decided to explore some subconscious patterns behind diabetes and sugar consumption. And, so what I discovered there was the suppression of my authentic desires, of my authentic self. So you see, I saw the pattern that one part of me suppresses another part, suppresses some authenticity, some, true deep desires. And of course, it makes some part of me really unhappy, and I crave for some sweetness in my life. I crave for some pleasures, and sugar is, a very fast way to get this pleasure. And you see, I realized that probably this thing that I told you now is not particularly revolutionary, so because everybody knows about emotional eating, right? But what is revolutionary is that after the session, not only did I get some insight, valuable insight, but also actually my food preferences changed. You see, so something was rewritten inside of my subconscious because I stopped wanting sugar. You see, I stopped wanting my favorite ice cream because it was sweet, and I don't want to eat sweet food anymore. So you see, and in my opinion, it's an amazing result. But it all was only one part of the amazing result that I got. Before I talk about the second valuable insight that I got, I would like to talk a little bit about GSR. Why? Because to understand this second insight, you have to realize what energies GSR sessions work with. So you see, GSR sessions work with so-called family energies, energies of the family field. So you see, according to GSR theory, we inherit from our ancestors much more than just physical genetics, than our body, so because we inherit from them also some energy patterns of relating to the world, of relating to ourselves, of responding to situations. And actually, these patterns, they really influence our lives. And when we suffer in life, when we can't get what we want and so on, so very often there is something in energy field that won't let us, you see. And in GSR, we call it energy distortion. It means that in some place in your subconscious, the energy is no longer flowing freely. There is something like energy knot of a sort. And during a session, a GSR practitioner removes this knot and energy starts flowing freely. And after this, you get more energy, you get some valuable insights, you get new perspective and new power to deal with the situation. You see, so something radically changes inside your subconscious. So, I mentioned GSR practitioner, but you see, you can do GSR sessions for yourself, or you can become a practitioner later. So you see, for example, I personally have been practicing GSR since 2019, and so I have been working with other people since 2022. So I have a lot of experience, but this particular session about diabetes I did for myself. It's a very, very simple thing to do, actually. You can learn it. You can take a special training course. So you see, we work with the energies of family field, and we can see what kind of family patterns formed this inside of us. And so what I saw in this GSR session was that a lot of women who lived in my family before me, you see, my ancestors, are, for them, suppressing their desires and suppressing their authentic self was means to survive. So they lived in an environment where this was totally reasonable. It was their way to survive. And of course, they were deeply unhappy, but they were surviving. Yes. So, and for them, sugar and in general, sweetness, sweet taste, yes, it was the only way to feel joy, the only way to feel happy. And you see, I was so surprised about how it works. So you see, in my present day life, actually in my life, yes, the circumstances are totally different. And I don't need sugar to be happy. And you see, suppressing my authenticity is no longer a way to survive. You see, so because I just don't need it, you see, I don't need to suppress my desires and to eat sugar to compensate it. But still, I was doing this just because it was some inherited pattern from the past. It was shocking for me to see that my body actually didn't want sugar. And my body was trying to tell me this. My body was trying to reject sugar, but I couldn't hear what my body actually wanted because of this subconscious programming, because of this programming that sugar is good. You see that sugar serves some very important purpose. And you see, it no longer serves this purpose because in present day circumstances, I live a totally different life. I don't need sugar to feel happy. I don't need it anymore. But you see, this subconscious programming was still working, and it won't let me hear what my body was trying to communicate. And it was, in my opinion, something very important because, of course, GSR sessions work with subconscious. And I don't know about diabetes, whether I avoided it or I didn't. But you see, I definitely know that after this session, my daily choices became much healthier. So I started understanding my body much better, you see. And so I don't want to eat sugar, you see, and I understand myself deeper. This is just something fantastic that happened to me. That's why I love GSR sessions so much. They are so useful for our everyday life, but also they are so interesting. Okay, so and now I would like to tell you guys about the second experience because I remember I promised you 3. So the second experience that has completely changed the way I look at my body. So you see, I do GSR sessions every day, and normally, of course, I do more than one GSR session for myself every day because it's so amazing, it's so interesting, it's so it gives me control over my life, and also it's super interesting and it's like super great. Okay, so you see, so I do sessions every day, and some months ago I noticed some pattern that seemed really strange to me. So I was doing sessions about different topics, but in these sessions I kept coming across some very strange energy. And so when I was feeling this energy, I understood very clearly that the body reaction to this energy is actually stroke. You see, so I was standing in the family field, in my energies, and I understood that I have a tendency, that there is a tendency in my subconscious that there is some energy that is actually leading me to stroke. You see? And it was not just one session. So this energy appeared in several sessions. And I was super surprised because, it was never on my radar. You see, I never thought about this, you see, because I have never had any heart problems, and I exercise. I lead a healthy lifestyle, you see, so that's why it was so surprising for me. And I decided to talk to my parents about this. And suddenly I discovered, they told me that, a lot of my relatives actually died of stroke. And I didn't know this. So I had some other ideas, you see, about their deaths. So you see, I didn't know that it runs in the family, that it is actually a very, very real threat. And I was so shocked that, GSR sessions showed me that actually my body, could face such a problem someday. And it made me think a lot about prevention. So I went to the doctors. I consulted doctors, what I can do to prevent this. And I got some very nice recommendation. And I started following these recommendations. And now I feel much better. But also I'm so happy to be aware. You see, and I understand that if it wasn't for GSR sessions, probably I wouldn't even think about this. It still wouldn't be on my radar, which probably would have been rather dangerous in my situation. So you see, GSR sessions make us understand ourselves better. And the deeper we understand ourselves, the better choices we make, the safer life we have, the safer life and the better life. And so now story number 3. And this story is about insomnia. So you see, several weeks ago, I suddenly developed insomnia, which for me is very, very strange because I'm a kind of person that falls asleep the moment my head touches the pillow. So, I never have any problems with sleep. But suddenly, some weeks ago, something happened and I couldn't sleep normally for more than a week, probably for 10 days. And for me, it was so unusual and it was so uncomfortable, because my sleep was very light. I woke up feeling exhausted. And, so during the day, I had this brain fog. I couldn't concentrate. I felt super tired all the time. So it was, it was horrible. And frankly speaking, I didn't know what to do with it. So I tried different things. So I drank some herbs, that my doctors suggested. I was trying doing more yoga. Then I was basically trying to relax. I was trying to go to bed earlier. You see, so I was trying, taking a long walk before going to bed. You see, so I tried lots of things and nothing helped at all. So, and I understood that I had to do GSR session to understand what was really going on. So you see, of course, during the session, I saw what pattern was behind it. And, the reason for my insomnia was that, so you see, I had undergone some very significant inner changes. And I had a lot of new energies. And my body hadn't adapted yet. You see, this was the reason. So you see that my physical body wasn't keeping up. But after the session, so I got this insight, okay, but what to do, yeah? So after the session, I understood that I was asking the wrong question. You see, so I was asking the question, before the session, I was asking myself, so how can I get my body to fall asleep, So, but after the session, I suddenly started asking myself a totally different question. So what does my body really want? So, what does my body want me to do? So what does my body want? And it was late in the evening, and I understood that my body craved very weird things. Weird because it was totally unexpected, and I still have no idea how it's connected to sleep. Because suddenly I understood that I want strawberries. I want to eat a lot of strawberries. So I went to the grocery store. Of course, I bought a lot, like a huge bowl of strawberries, and I ate it all, you see. Then my body suddenly wanted to go for a very long walk. Okay, I did. Then it was night already. I understood that I really want to work on some report at my job. You see, so my body really wanted to finish the report, which was super surprising because the next day I had to get up really early and this report wasn't urgent. So you see, I don't know why, you see. And after that, my body really wanted some massage. So, I understood that I really wanted to massage some acupuncture points on my palms. And after that, I went to bed and slept like a baby. And I have been sleeping like a baby ever since. My sleep came back to me. So you see, and I was so surprised that sometimes the easiest way to live and the easiest way to stay healthy and to feel good is to listen to your body. But very often our subconscious programming won't let us do this. And I understand why, because it all happens because of our family energies, because of energies of our ancestral field, because people in our family who lived before us, for example, centuries ago, their life was super difficult, and physically, I think it was very, very painful, and they suffered a lot physically, and that's why they, it was very reasonable for them not to pay too much attention to to what their bodies were feeling, so not to pay too much attention to bodily impulses, because it would have been very painful, I think, and not productive. But you see, these times they are long gone, and in present day circumstances, we have all the opportunity to listen to our bodies because we live a very comfortable life and we can give our body everything our body needs, rest, good food, exercise, good doctors, and so on. But we don't have this habit of listening to our bodies, of listening what they say, I was so surprised that such a serious insomnia, so it went away like this. When I just started listening to my body, and I could listen to my body only after removing these energy distortions, removing these energy knots that won't let me listen to it. So, in my opinion, guys, it's just fantastic. So guys, I hope that these stories were interesting for you and that you gained some insights from this video. And I was so happy to do it for you. And for me, it's so interesting to explore how our subconscious work, how it's connected to our lives, to our bodies, if you have some experiences of, working with your body through your mind, some similar experiences to mine, please write them in the comments. For me, it will be so interesting to learn your experience, to discuss it with you, because you see, I just love exploring these topics. That's why I created this channel. And also, if you want to discover GSR, the method that I work with, it's like my favorite method, you can contact me. And my contacts are below the video because I do GSR sessions, I do them online, and they happen one-on-one. You see, it's like super comfortable. You don't need anything. Just come to me and just tell me about what is bothering you or what you would like to explore, what you would like to understand, and we can look at it together. So thank you for being with me. So see you in my next videos, and until then, stay curious.